Hello YouTubies, I'm Grant, this is the garage, this is Granty's garage. In this video, we're installing a short shifter. Here is what you're going to need. A T20 and a T27 Torx bit, as well as something to turn them. 10mm socket, something to mark your cables with. I find a flathead screwdriver very helpful. And some grease. And here's what you're going to want. Something to turn the clips with and something to snap them with. So as hopefully this video demonstrates, the standard shifter, whilst it's not the biggest problem in the world, has quite a lot of travel, and as you guys who have watched the video before may know, I'm part of a few groups online that have these cars, and they're enthusiast groups who share that quite likely this is one of the best bang for buck upgrades you can make for this car, primarily because you're enhancing the driving experience, which is what these cars are all about. So we will be possibly using this video as reference for how much shorter the play is when the new shifter is installed, providing nothing goes horribly wrong. To install the short shifter, first thing we're going to need to do is remove the center console. Couple of bits we need to consider taking this out. You need to remove the ashtray, which just lifts up and out like that. This will find you 2 screws under here that you need to take out that are Torx bits. I'll include all the sizes. This will allow you to remove the window buttons. In the center console compartment, underneath the coin tray here, which I'll show you in more detail removing, there's a screw. There is also a screw under the rubber mat. There is also a screw up at the front. To get to the one up at the front, you may need to be taken out, if you haven't got a center console delete, the lower center console, which I will explain now. It's not possible for me to show you the center console being removed because it is already removed in my car, but fundamentally, to get it out, you have the unit sitting here. You've got a panel on the side that's carpeted and a panel on this side. You pull those out. This reveals the 2 or 4 bolts, forgive me for not remembering, just down the side. And then you have a little tab that will be here. If you've got an S, it says Boxster S on it. If you don't, it's blank. You pull that forwards. Once those bolts are undone, that unit lifts out and it's out of your way to get to the console. Starting from the front, you're going to pop the gaiter off of the gear shifter. Just move that out of the way. And you will see this screw here. This is a Torx bit. This is a T20. Oh, he says can't do all of this one-handed, so we're going to go and remove that guy. Under the ashtray, you don't need to remove the insert if you still have it in here. I've removed mine because my garage beeper thing fits perfectly in here without it. You've got these 2 bolts here. These are a T27. Remove those. Forgive the lighting not being great in here, and indeed not always being able to show everything because I can't hold the camera and do two-handed stuff. But once those are removed, you can lift up and pop off the Windows button holder piece, and underneath you have got 2 connectors, 1 to each of the switches. The black is the driver's side, the white is the passenger side. You want to go ahead and click in the little tabs and remove those off of the back of the switches. You may also have this little guy here, which is the light for in the ashtray. He just slides out. My one actually detached itself on the way out a second ago. Moving into the center console's storage compartment, you want to remove this coin holder here, which I think allows you to hold sort of 7 quid. The way I like to do this, which we'll try and show on the camera, just give it a little bit of pressure from the back there with like a screwdriver, and then you just lift it up and it slides up and out. We're then going to pull up the rubber cover at the bottom, and can the camera see this? We have a small, probably a T20 there, which actually this flathead screwdriver is fitting in, so none of these are particularly tight, so not worried about damaging them, but we'll take him out while we're there. And I think we've got the same size one here actually as well, so it's just let me have a, maybe not. This one is a T20. And the final bolt you need to worry about in the middle is this T21 here. With those bolts out, the console should now be loose. The easiest way to get this out is actually to pop the side off when it comes high enough past the seat belt for the handbrake. But you need to bear in mind there is still going to be a connector on the bottom that is sensing when it's locked or not. So we do have one more connection under there that we need to take out. And you want to lift it from the back, slide it backwards. We pop that side out. Tuck the gaiter through. And then you should have enough clearance. Get in and find that last connector, which looks like this. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. It's just two little wires on a tiny little black clip. And then we can maneuver the center console out. Installation of the center console is just the reverse of that. So next thing we're going to need to do is take that shifter out, and I will eventually, when this is out, I'm going to give it all a hoover in here. First thing to do, pop off this geezer. It's just tabs. Should come off pretty easily. That was very easy. And then we've got 4 10 mils. 1, 2, and if I move the gaiter out the way of the camera, 3, 4. So I'm going to remove those. All right, I've loosened off the back ones. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark on these cables, because this is your adjustment for your gear changes, where these connectors in essence sit. So I'm just going to get some tape. And to remove them, you have to push them upwards and spin them underneath. And they should disengage. That would be so worrying if you got in the car when you were coming to test drive it, wouldn't it? Now I'm going to go ahead and remove the remainder of the bolts. Before you remove this from the car, take the gear knob off first, because it will need quite a bit of force to go that way, and it will definitely help if this is still attached to the car. So I'm going to reattach this to the car before I show you how to take it off, because you should do that bit first, and I need it to be held in place while I remove that. Sorry, paused it to go and get a screwdriver and eat some crisps, and then forgot to put it back on. Then just need to take these cables out of the back of the housing here. Go. And then the whole assembly should come free. So here's the existing shifter against the new one. This is a fantastically gorgeous piece of kit, in my opinion, for what it looks like, and it's such a shame it won't be seen again, unless maybe I make see-through gaiters like I did on the maxpower Focus. You can check that video out. One thing to notice, I'm in the UK, we have right-hand drive cars. If you're in a right-hand drive country and you order one of these, you probably want to take these 2 bolts off, pay attention to the way round the washers inside are, drop that pin through, take this piece out and turn it around, because you'll see in the old one, this is leaning towards the driver. This is the back, that's the front, the bend is towards the driver, and I want to mimic that. So first thing I'm going to do is take those off, swap this around, and then we'll get to work on that one. I've now changed the orientation. As you can see, it's 13 mil bolt each side, And I did put, while I was in there, I just took the time, put a little bit of grease, extra grease, just inside there. There's actually a very nice bearing on the inside of this. So it's not actually the middle that spins, it's the shifter moving on the spindle with the bearing. So a little bit of grease, and hopefully that looks after it for a while to come. So the next thing we need to do is take this one out. So I'm going to start with popping these off. These are what connects to the gear changing cables. They're like a ball and socket joints, so they should pop off. So I'll give them some force this way, hopefully not too much. And then we need to tackle what's the hardest bit of this job for a lot of people, because this is like a no return part, these clips. So I'm going to pop these off and then come back to these. I've also now realised I actually don't need to take this one off at all, I don't think, so we'll avoid it. Now, I've seen a few people attempt this, and they've never been able to get these out without breaking these tabs. They are quite large, but they do look like they should press through. So I suspect when it was made, when it goes through, pops out. But because there's so many of them all the way around the circumference of that, getting all of them pressed at the same time might be quite difficult. So I'm going to go and try and press it enough to see if we can wiggle this out from this end. And if I can't do it, then we can't do it. That's my feeling for it. So let's see what happens. So I only showed you a little bit in the video, and I'm glad I didn't catch the next bit. I very quickly gave up with the idea of trying to get these out without breaking the clips, and you'll see from my hand I may have had a little accident with the screwdriver. I can't obviously say too much because they're a bit careful about this stuff on YouTube, but screwdriver hand kebab, that's all I'm going to say. But the lever is out and that piece is no longer needed. So the next thing to do is almost a reverse of what we've done. This one needs to go in, these ends need to go on it, that black piece needs to go on the bottom of there, and this piece works through a square in this channel in this white piece. This one does not, so we'll put some grease on there. But the first thing I'm going to do, this green bit, I see a lot of people who move to these shifters need to remove these because it will catch. This is possibly because that sits lower with the connector than the standard one. So we'll take that out, save us a job for later. But to get to these and break them off, ultimately what I did, I cut the tabs on the ends of these so that they would be able to spin in theory. I used these pinchers, I don't really know what they're actually called, to just cut a tab, as many as I could, and then this grip to turn it, to then cut the rest and keep accessing them until I'd done all of them. Wear gloves when you do it. That's all I'm going to say. So I'm going to go and start putting this back together. Now, I was shared this information. I wanted to give it a go first as was, just to see how it goes, by some of the people from the 986 groups who have done this before. You would have seen me take this washer out of this that sits right there. What I've been advised to do before, because normally this bit that holds the end of the shifter sits flush with this, but to get the circlips on each end of these, you need to be able to actually get it to go slightly further in, and this should just about allow for that when I do it on the other side. So I'm going to set the other one up in the same way. I've pressed this in as far as it will go, and hopefully that gives me enough to get circlips in. Reporting back in a minute. So the tip to move those in was definitely needed. It was still very difficult. So what I did, so a top tip for anyone else doing this, get a very big G-clamp. A big one. Take these out, use the G-clamp to just put enough pressure on to get both circlips in. Let's go put it. I've also popped the black connector back on. So now it's ready to go back in the car. Installation is just, of course, a reverse of removal. Make sure when you put these cables back in, you lay them back so that wherever you've marked it lines up with the edge of where it was before you took it off. And this is how it looks. And you'll forgive my weird hand placement, I can't put pressure in this piece. So first gear is a lot sooner than it would go, which was normally to about here. Second, much shorter throw. Third, fourth, fifth, forgive my hand, and then reverse. So I need to put the console back in. I might be doing something with that in the meantime, and it's quite good because I don't really want to drive with my hand at the moment, so I'll probably post something else up talking about how it drives after. But that is how you install a very cool looking short shifter. I have now been able to take the car for a drive with the short shifter. Pleased to report it's absolutely excellent. I will share, it took a little bit of getting used to. So going into what I thought was neutral, I was actually in the gears at the bottom of the travel, or the other side of the middle. So I came out of third, went to go into neutral, so then put it into reverse and actually gone into fourth. So it's going to take a little bit of getting used to because the travel is so much less. Where I was previously going back to where neutral was, is actually the next gear. So that would tell you it's probably reduced the travel by about 50%. Everything's a lot tighter and less sloppy than it was before as well. So, and the chances you get to then go and accelerate through the gears, the changes are super satisfying, they feel great. It has slightly changed how I feel when I'm driving the car. Again, these cars are all about the driving experience, and this makes you feel a little bit more part of that experience as well. So it's a bit more visceral. So yeah, I'll get used to it. I'll enjoy driving it around. Highly recommend doing this to yours. And that is how you install a short shifter in a 986 Boxster. If you've enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel if you want more videos on the 986. Really cheap project car builds and general in detail how-to videos for working on the car. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next one.